What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to the cutting series. This will be episode number 2, and purely coincidentally, episode 2 is going to cover the first 2 weeks of the diet. The way that I kind of want to get into these is going to be the same way that I have my clients check in with me. So if you're a client of mine and you happen to be watching this series, then this may be pretty familiar with you guys and girls. I have a little questionnaire that I have my clients fill out every week when they check in with me, and it's kind of broken down into a couple of subsections: nutrition, training, sleep, and things like that. And I figured what better way to go through my check-in with you guys than to go through the same process that I get into with my clients. So that'll kind of be the format that we'll get into. Overall, this has been a really productive first couple of weeks. If my physique update is not playing by now, then it will be very shortly. I did end up trimming my body. I guess that we could put that on one of the things that happened this week. There have been some supplementation additions and changes that have been made, and in general, training and life has been very good. So I'm kind of excited to recap the last 2 weeks with you guys and kind of get a little further into the details. So the first section that I like to cover would be weekly wins, and this would be, what are some wins that you've had this week, not only in training but just in life. This would kind of maybe be a general summary of what went positive during the week. In this case, the 2 previous weeks since I've last checked in with you guys. We celebrated my girlfriend Carissa's birthday twice, once on a Friday night, which was the actual day of her birthday, and then again on Sunday. I'll reference that again once we get into the nutrition section, because obviously that affects the nutrition somewhat, but just being able to celebrate her birthday and have a couple of really fun events and things that we did, and just had a really good weekend in general. That in itself was a huge weekly win. The weather here in the Chicagoland area has gotten a bit nicer, kind of a little bit more up my alley. We're kind of getting into the fall weather here. We've kind of been in the 60s and 70s for the majority of the last 2 weeks, which I really like because it's still warm and comfortable, but it's not so hot. And in the Chicagoland area, it can get very hot and humid, so it's kind of nice to still have the warmth but not to be so hot. The cut in itself has gone pretty good. We'll probably talk about that as we get a little further in, and training has been very solid, and I've kind of made some improvements with the supplementation and just overall approach to everything. So it's been a really, really solid first couple of weeks of the diet here. The next category that we'll get into is the body weight changes as well as the physique. So if I haven't been playing the physique update already, then it would be getting played here. When I first checked in with you guys 2 weeks ago, my average body weight was 206.7 pounds. Now this is how I track body weight, is I take my body weight every day for the week, and then at the end of the week, I have a Google sheet that gives me a weekly average for that, and I compare the weekly averages. So during that week, right before I started the cut, I was having some weigh-ins at 206, some at 207, some at 208, some at 205, but the average weight for that week was 206.73 pounds, and as of where we're at, as of me checking in with you guys today, we're at 203.4 pounds. So you're looking at about 3.5 pounds on average of a drop from the first week to the second week. The next category would be training and steps or cardio. Steps and cardio, I've hit my step goal. My step goal is about 6,000 steps per day because that's where I was at peak off season. And as I kind of said in that first episode, I'm not really changing anything from peak off season to this part of the cut other than the nutrition. So 6,000 steps per day is kind of still organically where I'm ending up at, and that is exactly where I've been the last 2 weeks. Both of those weeks I've averaged between 6,000 and 7,000 steps per day. Training has gone very good. I have had one lift that regressed very randomly. I had a dumbbell lateral raise that I did on yesterday's session that regressed by a couple of reps, which was kind of surprising to me. But aside from that one anomaly, in the last 2 weeks, I've done 2 full rotations of my training program, full body training A, B, C, and D. Yeah, I've done 2 full rotations of that, so 8 training sessions. And all 8 of those have gone very well. Not only am I progressing basically everything. Obviously, the dumbbell lateral is an exception there. But I've had a couple of lifts where not only am I getting stronger at them, I feel that my form and my range of motion have been improving, and I'm getting better contractions in the muscle. So not only am I getting an increased external stimulus through getting stronger through weight and reps, but that is also creating an increased internal stimulus with the mind muscle connection. And I know that that's kind of a common thing now that people say doesn't mean anything, and I think that's ridiculous to indicate that doesn't mean anything. I just cannot wrap my head around in any way how getting a good pump and connecting with the muscle in any way doesn't improve hypertrophy from not. That's a separate rant for a different day, but training has been going exceptionally well. Some of the sets and the highlights of the week will be playing over here if they haven't been already. And in general, I'm very happy with how training is going. Still pretty early on into the diet phase. But everything seems to be going pretty well so far with the training. Mentally, very looking forward to training, and I'll talk about that again when I get into the mood and the stress levels that I had this week, and just kind of where my mood and my mentality is at. I've been very mentally excited and motivated to train these last 2 weeks, so we'll talk about that a little bit later on. The next subject would be nutrition and digestion. So nutrition has been very good over these last 2 weeks. There has been only one day out of the last 2 weeks where I did not hit my macro numbers. As I said earlier, we had Carissa's birthday the first weekend of the first week that I started the cut. And Friday night we went out to Benihana. For you guys in the US, maybe you've heard of Benihana. It's just one of those hibachi places, but they have their nutrition info online, and the food is very clean. It's literally white rice and grilled chicken, shrimp, steak, veggies. It's super clean. So Friday night I was able to fit that into my macros, and then on Sunday we went to my girlfriend's mom's house, and that was the first Sunday that the NFL started here in the U.S. And so between that and obviously celebrating my my girlfriend's birthday, me, my girlfriend, her mom, and her brother, we kind of had a big grill out and grilled a bunch of chicken and burgers and stuff like that. So I did not track anything that day. I had 2 of my normal meals, and then my other 3 meals of the day, I just replaced all 3 of those with whatever I was eating at the party. I did not track anything. If I had to guess, it was probably maybe 4,000 calories. But that's not high, like, for me. my peak, as I said in the first video, my peak off-season calories were about 4,750 on training days and 4,500 on rest days, and my weight was basically maintaining there, if not slightly going up. So my maintenance is probably around somewhere between like 4,200 and 4,400, somewhere in there. So I was a little bit below maintenance, if anything. But otherwise the nutrition has been really good. Digestion took a little bit of a hit, and this is where some of the supplementation changes come into play. So if you've seen any of my full day of eating videos, I've kind of talked about how I take a fiber supplement. I take that in the morning and I take that at night. I just this is Walmart's version, the Equate version, sugar-free of their daily fiber. This is psyllium husk fiber, but it's Walmart's version of Metamucil. Metamucil is kind of the brand name here in the United States. Maybe that's overseas too, I don't know. But Metamucil is what it is here in the United States. But I will very periodically have a hard time finding this. I will go to Walmart and they'll have the Equate version, but instead of having the sugar-free version, they have the full sugar version. And the macros are actually really not that different, but for whatever reason, the full sugar one tastes awful. I mean, it's disgusting. And the sugar-free one actually tastes better. The sugar-free one has maltodextrin in it, so it still uses carbs, and again, the macros are really not that different, but it just, for whatever reason, uses maltodextrin instead of full sugar, and the full sugar one tastes honestly terrible. Anyways, this is the one that I normally get, and when I went to Walmart, whatever day it was that I went to get it, I needed to get this. They were out of this, but they do have a sugar-free one that they make with stevia. I don't know if this is showing up clearly or not. I have used this one before and have not had any issues with it ever, so I just decided whatever, I'll just buy this one. And then as soon as I switched from the regular sugar-free one to the sugar-free one with stevia, I was getting backed up. I was still going to the bathroom, but I wasn't going to the bathroom nearly as frequently as what I normally would, and so I dealt with that for a couple of days, maybe like 3 days or so, and then actually ended up going back to Walmart for some other things, and in the meantime, in that 3-day time period, they had actually gotten more of this one. So what I've been doing lately is I've just been doing, as I have said in my videos, I do 1 serving of fiber in the morning and 1 at night. So I bought this one. I'm going to use it. Unfortunately, I'm that way. If I spend money on something, I feel like I have to use it. So instead of just doing both servings with this, I'm doing 1 of this in the morning and then 1 of this at night. And then obviously once this one's gone, I'll probably never buy it again, and then just kind of stick with this one. And if they don't have it in the store, maybe I'll buy it online or something like that. But that kind of backed me up for a couple of days. So I actually had a couple of days where my weight was up at like 208, 209. It had actually gotten a little bit heavier than what it was before I had started on the diet. But despite the fact that my body weight was going up, or at least like not changing, I could feel myself getting leaner. So I just kind of knew that, and obviously the fact that I wasn't going to the bathroom as often, that was very apparent to me too. So I just kind of knew that I needed to make a change with the digestion there, and I got fortunate that the other fiber powder was there. So things are moving again, metaphorically and literally, but that obviously did kind of affect my digestion for a little bit there. But at the moment, we seem to be back on track. The next topic would be sleep, which is where another supplement kind of comes into play. I would not say that I would describe my sleep as that bad. previously, like, around where it was in the off season, and at the beginning of the cut. There was a weird couple day period where I found myself like waking up in the middle of the night a little bit more frequent than what I normally do, but I again would still say that I was getting good sleep, and I wasn't necessarily feeling any need to make any changes to my sleep. On the day that I went to Walmart to get the fiber powder, they had melatonin on an end cap, and this is a 12 milligram chewable, or this is actually like a lozenge, fast dissolve. They recommend that you put this like under your tongue and let it dissolve. And I've had a couple of clients who I have been recommending use melatonin lately, and they've been saying that their sleep has been improving. And I remember seeing a post from Dante Trudell, who is somebody who I respect tremendously, years ago, talking about taking high doses of melatonin, like 60 to 100 milligrams of melatonin, showing like very, very positive, not only hypertrophy and muscle growth and recovery outcomes, but like liver enzymes brought down considerably. And I think there was maybe something in there about estrogen. I don't recall the specifics about it specifically, but I remember that taking high doses of melatonin deemed pretty beneficial in this meta-analysis or study that he was promoting. And I am not taking that. I'm only taking one of these 12 milligrams. They had these on an end cap when I went to get the fiber. I remembered the Dante Trudell study, and I remembered literally that morning I had done a check-in with somebody who had mentioned melatonin. So I said, why not? Give it a try. This thing was like $5, $6. And it's only been about 4 days that I have had this in, but my sleep has been incredible ever since I put this in. I know 12 milligrams kind of seems like a pretty high dose, but this has really been kind of knocking me out, literally. So I also remembered a post. If I can remember it, I will post that in the description of this YouTube video, that John Jewett had posted, another person who I respect tremendously, who had suggested through a meta-analysis that taking your melatonin 2 to 3 hours before bedtime is actually a bit better than taking it right before bedtime. So I have actually been taking this with my second to last meal and not with my last meal. So I have 5 meals in the day. The fourth meal is usually about 2 to 3 hours, usually about 3 hours before I go to bed, and then I'll take one of these with that meal. And all 4 nights that I have done that, I have fallen asleep on the couch in between meal 4 and meal 5. Usually I eat meal 4, we take the dog out for her last walk at night. I come in and sit on the couch and watch TV or play video games for an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then I eat my last meal, and then I go to bed. But usually, literally every night, the last 4 nights since I've been taking this, we walk the dog, I sit on the couch, and within 15 to 20 minutes, I fall asleep. Now, as I said, this is a chewable or a dissolvable lozenge that they recommend that they put under your tongue. So this is probably getting into my body and my bloodstream a little bit quicker than what it would be if I was taking a pill. So in that post that I had referenced, John Jewett had recommended maybe taking it like 3 hours or so before bedtime. But I don't remember the specifics of whether or not that would be a pill. Maybe the fact that this is a fast dissolvable lozenge that is like under my tongue going directly into the bloodstream, maybe that's making this hit me a little bit harder. So that would maybe be something that I could experiment with, is actually, despite what that study and meta-analysis recommended, would be to move this later in the day and actually take this right before my last meal instead. So maybe we'll play around with the timing of this, but either way, I have definitely noticed that adding in 12 milligrams of melatonin a couple of hours, about 3 hours or so before bed, has helped my sleep tremendously this week. So my sleep, again, as I said earlier, I wouldn't have described it as bad before, but it's definitely improved since adding that in. And as cost effective as that is, I probably won't buy the dissolvables anymore because honestly they taste terrible. But I've seen some like 10, 12 milligram tablets on Amazon for super cheap, so that'll probably become a staple supplement for me. As cheap as it is and as effective as it's been, immediately having immediate impacts on improving my sleep, which obviously is having improved impacts on my recovery and body composition, all that type of stuff. So that's been a huge ROI, return on my investment. You know, the small amount of money that I paid for that supplement is giving me a big bang for my buck there. Next topic is the mood and stress. Stress has been very low. Fortunately, I have had a couple of people who have reached out for coaching lately, which is very exciting for me. I kind of went on a little bit of a dry spell there for a little bit. Fortunately, it kind of coincided with August for me. August was just insanely busy, and I've talked about this on my channel before, but you know, August we had my sister's wedding and my birthday, and we had a bunch of events and stuff that kind of went into that. So I actually didn't really grow the business a whole lot during August. But fortunately, I've been having people who have been applying for coaching again the last couple of weeks, so I've been fortunate to be busy. Very happy with that. And my mood is in a very, very good place. The other day, I don't remember exactly what day it is, I got a memory or an on this day is what they call it. You know, on your social media, they show you what you posted on this day 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. And on the particular day that I'm referencing here, the video clip was a video clip of me posing from my prep in 2023. And it's one of the looks in the prep that I'm the most happy with. I think I would have been maybe somewhere between like 6 and 8 weeks out from the show during that time, maybe 9 weeks. I don't remember exactly what the timeline like was there. It was probably somewhere between there. And that was a huge confidence boost for me. I mean, I was literally have been kind of like riding high on that motivation and that for a while. And I kind of made a post on this on my other social media platforms, but you know, I competed 2 years ago. It's been about a 2-year off season, and other than this cutting phase that I'm in right now, I've really only done like 2 6 to 8 week mini cuts over the course of the last 2 years. So I've really spent the last 2 years pushing food, pushing body weight, and you know, getting chunky. And when I get into these extended gaining phases, it's very easy for me to lose focus on the big picture and kind of get wrapped up in the fact that I'm a little chunky. And when I haven't seen myself lean in a while, it's easy for me to I don't want to say like lose confidence or anything, but it definitely makes me question, you know, whether I'm moving in the right direction or not. You know, without sounding corny, I've dedicated my life to this, so I'm putting everything that I have into this. So I think I'm always going to constantly be wondering if the work is paying off. But that memory, that reminder from my prep was a huge confidence boost, and it reminded me that, you know, even though I'm a little chubby now, you know, I do actually kind of look like I lift underneath all of this. And I'm not happy with the legs in that, like the throwback video, but you know, obviously I've been hammering away at my legs for the last 2 years, so we'll just kind of keep figuring out as I continue to get leaner, like where the legs are truly at. But either way, just getting that reminder was a huge confidence boost for me. And I'm not gonna really like commit to anything or really put any like specifics or anything out there, but I was kind of looking at the show schedule for the upcoming season and kind of trying to, you know, just brainstorm some things in my head, and just kind of combined with where my head is at lately after seeing that reminder, that memory that I had kind of talked about. And then obviously with as good as the cut has been going so far, there is the potential that maybe this cut does end up in a competition prep. But again, I'm not going to commit to anything. There's a lot of work that's got to get done in the meantime, but the potential is on the table, and the combination of knowing that it could happen, combined with getting that reminder of where I was a couple of years ago, I'm mentally, I don't want to say I'm in full-blown prep mode, because in full-blown prep mode is, I'm not doing anything other than this, but I'm in like 95% prep mode right now. I'm really mentally and physically hitting a good stride with everything. So things are going good with the mood and stress levels, and obviously trying to continue that as we head into the next weeks. All right, last things to go over is to kind of go over the upcoming week and whether there are any changes or anything that are going to be made. So for the upcoming week, we should have a pretty clear week coming up here. There is the potential that I go to my hometown, which is a couple hours away from where I live now, and spend a couple days with my parents this weekend. There is a gym in my hometown that I have been wanting to check out for a while. So if I do end up going there, it won't affect my training schedule, because I will make that part of my trip to, go to that gym. So that, may be something. I'll still do the same like workout that I would do on that day, but just the pieces of equipment and everything would be a little bit different. And then as far as changes, I don't have anything that I want to change to the nutrition or the steps or anything. I am going to be starting a cruise with my supplementation. I ended my off season and ran the first week of the cut on 500 milligrams of testosterone, and I'm going to be dropping down to a cruise dose of 125 milligrams of testosterone a week. And I don't know how long I'll run that. Honestly, I'll probably cruise for the remainder of the year. I'm filming this on September 15th. So the end of the year, we're probably looking at like another 12 to 14 weeks. I was on cycle for about 16 to 20, so I would like to at least do relatively as long as I could. Or as close as I could 1-to-1. If I took 16 weeks on, maybe want to take 16 weeks of cruising ideally, or something like that. So, we'll kind of plan that out as blood work and everything kind of comes through in the coming weeks and months. But for now, I have dropped into a cruise. I know confidently where my calories are at. I can chip away and be in a deficit and lose body fat. And with where training is going, there's no imminent concerns of muscle loss. So just obviously continuing to monitor the training and monitor the progress pictures as we get into this cruise. But I don't really have any concerns at the moment that I won't be able to maintain my muscle in the deficit, even though I'm not using super amounts of supplements. I'm just using like a cruise dosage. And if I do realize that I'm at risk for muscle loss, then we will pull the plug on the cut, and this whole series will get chopped, or we'll transition it into something else. But that's the beauty of documenting everything. Is this is the plan that I have for this week, and that is subject to change. So for now, we'll use that as a segue to wrap this one up. Nothing's really changing for me other than dipping into a cruise. But from a nutrition or training perspective, that doesn't change anything. I'm continuing to train and eat or no, well, I'm continuing to train like I'm in the off season and eat like I'm in the off season, even though the calories are obviously way different. But in terms of like structure and everything like that, nothing else is different. No new foods. I haven't taken any foods out. It's just less of the same. Thanks a lot for watching the video, guys, if you've made it this far. As always, if you guys have any questions or anything, please leave them as comments below. I'm really hoping that these videos where we talk about the X's and O's kind of generate some discussion in the comments. That would be pretty cool. So if you guys have any questions, I would be happy to answer them. If you're interested in coaching or a consultation or any of that stuff, it's in the description below. If you haven't subscribed already, please do so. And as always, guys, take care of yourselves and train hard.